Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review, so if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all, and let's just get right into this review. So at the very beginning of this episode, Natalie talks with Scotty and Sapphire about all the fights that went down in the previous episode. Now, as you know, if you watched last week's episode, it was super crazy. Like, they got into so many fights. It was literally fighting from beginning to end. Tinkerbella and Diamond the Body fought numerous amounts of times. They even rolled out the front door while they were fighting. Bianca and Sapphire got into it. Sapphire's wig got put in the toilet. Jayla ended up getting into it with Gretchen, and Gretchen also ended up getting into it with Meatball too. But I will say most of the drama that started happened when Gretchen showed up to the house. I don't know the beef between Gretchen and Meatball, but the two of them started fighting as soon as Gretchen walked in the door. I don't know if they were talking about each other or if Meatball heard that Gretchen said something about her. But once the two of them started fighting and the N-word came out of Gretchen's mouth, that's when Jayla and a lot of the other girls had an issue with it. Now, I will say they did try to tell her nicely before she got hit that she can't say that word, and she said that she didn't give a fuck, and that's the reason why Jayla went after her, and a lot of the girls had an issue with her. But I will say, I don't think you're going to be able to get her to stop saying that word, because at the end of the day, it's already in her vocabulary. Like, she said it numerous amounts of times last week's episode, and then she said it again at some point during this week's episode. I think she probably has a lot of friends that are black where she lives at who are okay with her saying it because she's Puerto Rican, but she came into a house full of black women and they told her that they did not feel comfortable with her saying the word, and instead of her respecting that, she decided to continue to keep saying it and saying that she did not give a fuck. And so I feel like, Jayla going after her is not surprising to me, because Jayla did it to one of the girls on her season of the Bad Girls Club too, who let the N-word slip out of her mouth. Jayla definitely told her that she can't say the word, and when the girl was making excuses for saying the word, she ended up hitting her too. So to me, I was not surprised by it. Now, Natalie claims that she has a really fun day planned for all the girls. They're going to go have a bonfire on the beach, and she said that she's bringing in some of the replacements so that she can see which girls she's going to get rid of and which girls are going to be able to keep their spot. And so I don't understand why she's not just saying that she gathered them all together so that they can fight, because that's exactly what this is going to be. Every time Natalie tries to get all the girls together for some type of meetup, they end up fighting because she tells them that they need to talk out whatever issues they have, and she knows nobody's going to talk, they're just going to fight. And because Jayla ended up getting bit by Gretchen during their fight, like you can literally see in the clips of their fight where Gretchen was biting Jayla on her chest, Jayla had to go get a shot at the hospital, and look, you can see the mark from the bite on Jayla's chest throughout this episode. I would have been pissed off too if I was Jayla and I got bit. But I think the reason why Gretchen bit Jayla is because they were on the floor rolling around fighting, and I think that Jayla had a grip on her, and that's the reason why she bit her, to try to get her off of her. But I really don't think she should have bit her. I just don't agree with the whole biting thing. I wasn't even for it on Bad Girls Club when Natalie got bit by Red. I just felt like that was going a little bit too far. But last week's episode was so chaotic that who knows what was going to happen. Now, during this conversation between Jayla and the Claremont twins end up asking her where she's at with Biggie, if she's going to fight her again or if she's going to let the situation go. And they said that they felt a little bit bad for Biggie because she was crying after Jayla hit her. And look, I did have some sympathy for Biggie because she did start crying, but she wasn't crying because she got hit by Jayla. She was crying because she felt like Natalie set the whole situation up. But I personally don't feel like Natalie set that situation up. Biggie got upset because Jayla said that she lost the fight with Rolly, and so she threatened to slap Jayla when she saw her. When they first saw each other, they were getting ready to fight, but because they were on the boat, Natalie would not let them fight. So when they got together at the dinner, Jayla and Biggie ended up fighting. Now, I will say Jayla was doing a little bit too much for me when Biggie showed up to the house and she was trying to pick her room, and she was basically following her around, telling her that she wasn't going to sleep in the same house as her. To me, that was doing too much. However, I don't feel like Biggie is a victim in the situation, and I don't feel like she's being bullied. She's the one who got on social media trying to show off for her followers and threatened to smack Jayla, so you can't expect her to be happy when she sees you and not want to fight you when she does see you because you threatened to smack her. So although I do think that Jayla did too much by telling Biggie that she couldn't have a room in the house that they were sleeping in. I don't feel like Biggie is being bullied, and I also don't feel like she's a victim in the situation at all. But Jayla did end up telling the Claremont twins that she's over her beef with Biggie. They already fought and got it over with, and so now she's ready to let the whole situation go. And I'm glad that she's ready to let it go, because honestly, I didn't think it was that big of a deal anyway. I think after they fought at the dinner, I don't feel like they had to fight again, because I didn't feel like it was that serious. So I'm glad that she's ready to let it go, and hopefully Biggie is ready to let it go as well. Now, Meatball and Tinkerbella end up meeting up with Biggie to talk about all the drama that went down last night. And look, Biggie was not there for all the fights that broke out after she left, because she ended up leaving after Jayla hit her, and that was really early on in the episode. So she wasn't there to see everything that was going on. And she was basically giving props to Gretchen, because she heard that Gretchen got into a lot of fights the previous night, and I don't think that she knew what the fights were about. So Tinkerbella and Meatball end up telling her that the reason why everybody tried to fight Gretchen was because Gretchen said the N-word, and when they tried to tell her nicely not to say the word, she said that she didn't give a fuck, and she continued to keep saying it. And that's when Biggie kind of changed her tune a little bit. She said in her confessional that because Gretchen doesn't look the part, she can't really say the word because people are not going to accept it. So basically Biggie saying that she can say the word because she presents as black, but Gretchen can't say the word because she presents as white. Now, I personally don't believe that Biggie should be saying it either, because to me, Biggie says the word more than any other girl on the show, and I just don't feel like she should feel comfortable enough to say it either the way that she does. But she was trying to kind of say that as long as somebody doesn't use the ER, that it's not in a disrespectful way. It doesn't matter if you're not saying it in a way that's supposed to be disrespectful. If you're not black, you shouldn't even feel comfortable enough saying it. Like I said in my review last week, I'm half black. Like, my mom is black, my father is white, and I don't even say the word. So I just don't feel like Gretchen or anybody else who's not fully black should be comfortable saying it. I personally don't think that anybody should say it. Now, Biggie ended up calling Tommy on the phone, because Tommy is supposed to be a part of this season as well. And look, I'm not surprised that Tommy is going to be a part of the show again, because she does have a lot of fans, so she brings a lot of eyes to the show. And then on top of that, she is entertaining to watch. So I definitely wasn't surprised that she's back. But Biggie was FaceTiming Tommy because the two of them are cool. They got really cool with each other on the first season that they were on together. I think it was Baddies West. I personally don't believe that Tommy really likes Biggie from the way that she was talking to her during that season. But I'm also not with them when they have their own personal conversations. So I don't know if they talked things out and they worked on their friendship, and maybe they do have a genuine friendship this time around. So I'm not going to really judge that situation until I see it play out this season. Now, look, they arrived to the beach, and it was quite the setup. Now, this is not what I thought was going to be the setup for this beach night bonfire. They had these tiki torches with fire on them, and it was kind of put in like a circle. And then they had this little pit of fire on the floor. And then they had security lined up. And it's like, Aubrey O'Day was so funny when she described the scene in her confessional. She said that it looked like an episode of Game of Thrones, and I completely agree with her. I knew that they were getting together because they were going to definitely have to fight. Natalie was trying to ease the girls into this situation, because obviously they were questioning why there's a bunch of fire everywhere and why security is lined up the way that they were. They knew that there was going to be some drama that took place. And Natalie lets them know that the replacement girls are going to be showing up to the beach with them so that they can see if they can get a spot on this season of the show. So basically, Natalie told them that some of the new girls are going to be taking the place of some of the girls that are OGs on the show, or some of the girls that originally got casted for this season. So everybody's kind of thinking that they're going to have to fight in order to keep their spot. And that was a really messy situation, because that's exactly what ended up happening. The replacements are Kiva, J.O., Wendalee, Jellybean, Heaven, Marina, and Noo-noo, who is the mother of one of Antonio Brown's children. Now, I do like that these replacements were all girls from the auditions, because I feel like every single season they kind of get girls who are already known or who were on other reality shows before, instead of taking the girls that they have for the auditions. So I don't mind if some of these girls actually come in and they're a part of the season. Now, Natalie immediately starts addressing Cali for disrespecting her as soon as she showed up in last week's episode. And look, Cali definitely did come in hot for Natalie. I really don't know why. I don't know the backstory. Natalie claims that she never had an issue with Cali and they've never met each other before, so she didn't understand why Cali had an issue with her. And Cali did admit that she came in a little bit too hot, but she says that she's a really loving person. And that's when Mariah Lynn ends up jumping up and she starts telling Cali that Cali bumped her, and that's the reason why she started started fighting her in last week's episode. And look, I don't feel like Cali bumped Mariah. I really didn't see it. Even when they kept showing the replay of it, I really didn't see Cali bump Mariah. However, even if Cali did bump Mariah, it was an accident. So I don't know why Mariah Lynn reacted the way that she did. But I really don't feel like Cali did anything to Mariah Lynn at all. But during this back and forth between Mariah Lynn and Cali, one of the girls who are a replacement ended up running up on Cali and the two of them started fighting. Somebody tell me in the comment section which one of the replacements ran up on Cali. Not at the end when Cali beat the girl up, but at the beginning when the fights first broke out, because one of them ended up running up on Cali and I couldn't tell who because security was all over the place. And once those two started fighting, a bunch of fights started breaking out because Meatball was also in a fight with one of the replacement girls. I think it was OJ. I think OJ is the girl from the replacements that was fighting Meatball, but she was dragging Meatball. Let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong though, if it was OJ or if it wasn't OJ, because that's who I thought was fighting Meatball. But I'm sorry, Meatball got beat up. I do give her props for still fighting and defending herself, but she definitely got beat up in that fight. But I will say, I feel like them replacements were doing too much. Like, I know they want to get a spot on the show, but fighting people who you don't have an issue with and just making up drama with them just to get a spot, to me, doesn't really make any sense. But that's what they felt like they had to do. And once all the fights were broken up, the Claremont twins were really fed up because it's their birthday and they really wanted to have a good time. They didn't want to have another night of a bunch of fighting, but they came on this show and I'm pretty sure they saw what this show is all about. So although I can understand why they would be annoyed that they have to spend their birthday watching fighting going on, they knew exactly what they signed up for. But they got so pissed off that they ended up walking away and leaving. And as they were leaving and they got to their car, all you can hear is Tommy's voice from a distance, and she calls out their names and she basically asks them if they have an issue with her. And they're ready to fight her at this point because they think she's trying to come at them. But then she says that the reason why she felt some type of way about the two of them is because they unfollowed her on social media. So nothing even ended up happening with that situation with Tommy and the Claremont twins. Even though the clips make it look like something was gonna happen, nothing ended up happening with it and the Claremont twins ended up leaving the show. Now, I was never a fan of the Claremont twins, even on the Bad Girls Club. However, it was nice to see more bad girls come on the show. Now, because It's Dia was one of the girls who had an issue with Gretchen in the previous episode with her saying the N-word, she was actually one of the girls that ended up fighting her in last week's episode. It's Dia ended up trying to step to Gretchen again while they were at the beach, but this time she had Noo-noo to back her up. Noo-noo is one of the replacements. I believe she's the one that's the mother of one of Antonio Brown's children. Well, she ended up dragging It's Dia. I'm sorry, but she whooped her. I'm sorry, she did. You know, It's Dia definitely tried, but she got beat up. Although I don't understand why Noo-noo is overly defending Gretchen. I don't know if it's because she feels like the other girls were ganging up on Gretchen or if she was only doing it because she wanted to try to get a spot on the show. But for whatever reason it was, she definitely beat up It's Dia, and I definitely think because of that, she ended up earning her spot on the show. I really don't think you should have to fight in order to earn a spot, but if that's what Natalie and Zeus wants them to do, then she did what she had to do. And since Heaven Marina was the only replacement that hadn't fought yet, she ended up stepping up and asking somebody to fight, and that's when Bianca stepped up and the two of them started fighting. Now, I will say, I don't think this fight was good at all, but I will say I do feel like Bianca kind of got the better of Heaven Marina, and she had her by the hair and she would not let go, and security was trying to break it up. So I don't know if Heaven is going to get her spot on the show, but she stepped up to fight, and that's exactly what ended up happening. I just think it's crazy that these girls came in ready to fight. I think Zeus, like the production team, told them that they have to do this in order to get on the show. Otherwise, I don't think that they would be fighting people that they don't even have beef with. So Mariah Lynn ends up stepping up to Cali again and telling her that because she spit on her in the previous episode and bumped her, that she wants to fight her unless Cali apologizes. And look, Cali said that she did not want to fight Mariah because she knows what she can do to Mariah, and Mariah is a lot smaller than her. So she basically ended up shaking hands with Mariah and they ended up squashing their beef. I personally don't feel like they should have had beef to begin with because I really don't feel like she bumped Mariah. And even if she did bump her, I really do feel like it was an accident. But since Cali did not end up fighting Mariah Lynn, Jellybean, who is also one of the replacements, ends up stepping up to try to fight Cali. And look, I'm sorry, but Cali definitely beat this girl up. Like, I feel like people underestimated Cali. I mean, Cali did kick Jellybean. She kicked her and she fell, and then she jumped on her and she started beating her up. But she definitely beat up Jellybean. I don't know why Jellybean stepped to Cali. Maybe she thought Cali was the weakest link. But now basically Cali made an example out of Jellybean. So I really do feel like Jellybean made the wrong move, because I don't think she's gonna get casted now. But then Natalie decides to bring Gretchen up again and tell Gretchen that she needs to explain herself because everybody has an issue with her and most of the girls want her to go home. And that's when Gretchen is trying to talk because she wants the girls to actually get to know her and not judge her based on her using the N-word in the previous episode. But she ends up getting into a back and forth with one of the other girls on the cast, and she ends up using the N-word again. And that's when Jayla jumps up because she hears the N-word slip out of Gretchen's mouth once again. And see, this is what I was talking about earlier in this video. If you paid attention to what I was saying, I don't feel like you can get Gretchen to stop saying the word because it's already a part of her vocabulary. Like, she's been using the word for a very long time. There's no way that just because you beat her up, she's gonna stop saying it. And so that's the reason why it slipped out of the girl's mouth again. But Jayla ended up jumping up and she runs over there to try to fight, Gretchen again. This was not a fight. They tried to swing on each other, but nothing was connecting and it just looked really awkward, and security broke it up and the two of them did not get to fight. In the middle of this happening though, I started laughing because why did Tommy roll up on a horse in between all this drama that was going on? Like, to me, that was funny and that was definitely a way to make an entrance. But the episode ended up ending there. There was so much drama in this episode, and I know that there's so much more drama to come in next week's episode. I kind of need a break from all the fighting though. I'm gonna need them to do something fun in between all the fighting because it's just a lot. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies Caribbean. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all, and until next time, I will talk to you guys in my next video.